Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Hope you're all doing well. We got some really tough source material to go through today.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so you guys sent in a bunch of stuff, articles and reports about the mass shooting that happened in Geneva County, Alabama. This was back on March 10th, 2009. And well, it's considered the deadliest mass shooting in Alabama's history.
It's a really tough one for sure.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of go through everything we can, try to figure out what happened, try to get a sense of why this happened.
Yeah, 10 people were killed, 6 others were wounded,
Mhm.
all across a few different places in Geneva County. The guy who did it, Michael Kenneth McLendon, he was 28 years old. Just awful.
Yeah, and it all happened so fast. I mean, we're talking about like an hour and 15 minutes
Yeah.
between like 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 4:10 p.m.
Wow.
It's crazy. Kinston, Sampson, Geneva, Alabama, all these places hit in such a short time.
And looking at the weapons this guy had, it really gives you a sense of what he was planning. A Bushmaster XM15 rifle, SKS rifle, a .38 caliber handgun. There was even a 12-gauge shotgun. He didn't end up using that one, but still, it just shows you how much firepower he had.
And when we start trying to look into the why, well, there was a note that McLendon left behind. It seems like he was really struggling with depression, maybe because he couldn't find a job and felt like his mom's family wasn't there for him. It really makes you think about how complicated these things can be, all the things that could lead to something this terrible. So, let's start back at the beginning. Kinston.
Right, so Kinston is this really small town. Only a little over 500 people live there. McLendon's first victim was his own mother, Lisa White McLendon. She was 52. It's just chilling to think that this is how it all began, this violence against his own family.
And it gets even worse. The reports we have say he also shot and killed his 3 dogs. I mean, it's just hard to wrap your head around that. And then he set the inside of their house on fire.
Yeah, and the way he killed his mother and those dogs, all 4 of them were shot in the head. It's just brutal. You can tell right from the start that there was this intense, just raw aggression driving him.
So then the violence shifts to Sampson, a bigger town, about 2,000 people. And this is where he starts targeting more of his family.
He went to his uncle's house. It was just a horrible scene. His uncle, James Alfred White, he was 55. McLendon shot him dead. And 2 cousins were there too. Tracy Michelle Wise, she was 34, and her son, Dean James Wise, he was only 15. They were all on the porch. And there was also a neighbor and her baby. Andrea Dawn Myers, 31 years old, and her little girl, Corinne Gracie Myers, just 18 months old. They were all killed.
Yeah, it's just too much. But in the middle of all this horror, the sources actually talk about some incredible stories of survival. McLendon's aunt, she was inside the house, and somehow she wasn't hurt. And get this, Andrea Myers' 4-month-old baby, Ella Myers, she survived after being shot. And her 4-year-old son, he was inside too, and he was okay. It's like in all this chaos, there were these little glimmers of hope.
Yeah, it's really something that those kids made it. So then McLendon went to the house next door. That's where his grandmother lived. Virginia E. White. She was 74 years old. He killed her too. It's just so clear that in this first part of the shooting spree, he was specifically going after his family.
And it makes it even more heartbreaking when you remember that McLendon was mostly raised by his aunt and uncle, Phyllis and James White. We're not talking about strangers here. This was family, people he knew his whole life.
It's just devastating. After his grandmother's house, things changed. He starts shooting from his car at random people. It's a terrifying shift to even more random, unpredictable violence.
The first person he killed was Sonia Lawley Smith. She was 43, working at a gas station in Sampson. Then there was Bruce Wilson Malloy. He was 51, just driving by when McLendon shot him. Then James Irvin Starling, only 24 years old, was shot in the back while he was running away. It's just unreal how quickly the violence spread.
And it wasn't only the people who were killed. 4 other people were shot and wounded trying to get away from him in Sampson. You can just imagine the panic, the chaos, people just desperately trying to escape.
McLendon takes off in his car, still shooting, driving along Highway 52 towards Geneva, and now he's got the police chasing him. A 24-mile chase. I can't even imagine the fear people must have felt seeing this guy driving around, shooting at people.
Yeah, and he even shot at the police during the chase. Wounded Chief Frankie Lindsay in the arm. He was clearly willing to do anything to keep going.
When he finally got to Geneva, it seems like he specifically picked out places that meant something to him. Reliable Building Products, where he'd worked back in 2003. He shot at the Walmart and the Piggly Wiggly in Geneva, too, like he was trying to make some kind of statement.
The shooting spree finally ended at Reliable Building Products. There was a shootout with the police at the warehouse. He was trapped, so he shot himself inside the building.
It's disturbing to think about how much ammunition he had in his car. Like he was prepared to keep going, to hurt even more people. It's scary to think what could have happened if they hadn't stopped him when they did.
So McLendon was found dead at 4:17 p.m. He had that SKS rifle, the Bushmaster, and at least 1.38 caliber pistol on him. Over 200 rounds fired in that short amount of time. It's just mind-blowing.
Let's try to understand who this guy was. Michael Kenneth McLendon. He was born in southern Alabama back in 1980. His parents divorced when he was young, and as we said earlier, he was mostly raised by his aunt and uncle, the same ones he ended up killing.
It's strange, though, because the sources paint this picture of him in high school as a good student, an A student, actually. He graduated in 1999. People said he was quiet. It's hard to reconcile that image with the person who committed these acts.
Yeah, and his work history is all over the place. Lots of short-term jobs. He even tried to become a police officer in Sampson, but never finished training. Worked at Reliable Products for a while, got asked to leave in 2003. And then there's this lawsuit from 2006 connected to when he got suspended from Pilgrim Foods. Most recently, he quit a job at Kelly Foods, just walked out a week before the shootings. But the thing is, the people he worked with there said he was a good guy, a good leader. It's confusing.
There are a few things that might help us understand what was going on with him. People who knew him said he was really messed up by his parents' divorce, and that he was depressed about not having a good career and failing to join the Marines or become a cop. All these things he wanted but never achieved, they seemed to really get to him.
And he was worried about his mom, said she wasn't getting enough support from her family. It's like he was carrying all this resentment and anger about how his family treated each other.
One of the most disturbing things the investigators found was a hit list, a handwritten list of people from his old jobs who had disciplined him or reported him for something. None of the people on the list were among his victims, but it just shows you that he was holding on to grudges, like he was looking for revenge.
Then there's the suicide note. It really gives you a glimpse into his state of mind. He wrote about killing his mother and then killing himself. He even mentioned a fight with his mom's family about a family Bible. And there's this line that just sends chills down your spine. We've suffered enough. It's like they were both in this dark place together, feeling like they had been wronged somehow.
The fact that he had so many guns is another big piece of the puzzle. The sources say they found dozens of ammunition boxes, military and survival gear, and medical supplies at his house. It wasn't just that he had access to guns, it was like he was obsessed with them, preparing for something.
After everything happened, there was this strange thing that happened with the Army. They sent some soldiers from Fort Rucker to Sampson to help the local police. They helped with traffic stops and guarding the temporary morgue.
It's not something you see every day. The sources point out that it's actually pretty unusual for federal troops to get involved in local law enforcement like that. And it turns out it might have even been against the rules. The Army actually disciplined at least one of the officers who were involved. It just shows you how unprecedented this whole situation was.
But in the middle of all the sadness and shock, the community really came together. The local radio station, WAOFM, they organized a fundraiser for the families of the victims. It was incredible how much support they got. They raised over $47,000 in cash. And that doesn't even include all the other donations, things like caskets and burial vaults. All in all, it was worth over $100,000. It was a beautiful thing to see people coming together like that.
It really shows you the power of community, even in the face of such a horrible tragedy.
So we've gone through a lot today. The awful timeline of that day, how fast the violence spread, the connections between all the victims. And we tried to understand a little bit about Michael McLendon, why he did what he did.
What are the big takeaways? I think for me, it's how vulnerable even small towns can be and how much these events impact everyone involved. And although we know a bit about McLendon, we'll never truly understand why he did something so terrible. It's just unfathomable.
So the way the community rallied around the victims' families was really inspiring, though.
Yeah, absolutely. The events of March 10th, 2009 really bring up a lot of tough questions. We're talking about financial struggles, personal failures, family problems, all these things that built up to this unbelievable act of violence. It makes you think, how can we as a society be more aware of people who are struggling? What can we do to help? And how do we make sure that mental health resources are available to everyone, especially in rural areas where it can be harder to find help? These are the kind of questions we need to keep asking ourselves.
All said.
Thank you.
And to all of you listening, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Stay safe out there.
See you next time.